Welcome to Salem Witch Trials Daily. I'm Josh Hutchinson.
This is Sarah Jack. It's Friday, April 30th, 1692, and it's day 7 of Susannah Sheldon's afflictions. Also, warrants are issued for 6 new witchcraft suspects.
Our good friend by now, Susannah Sheldon, reported that Martha Corey choked her and told her she would not eat when her dame told her to.
Jonathan Walcott and Thomas Putnam complained against George Burroughs, Lydia Dustin, Susannah Martin, Dorcas Hoar, Sarah Morell, and Philip English. These men claimed that those they accused of witchcraft had bewitched Mary Walcott, Mercy Lewis, Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam Jr., Elizabeth Hubbard, and Susannah Sheldon.
The magistrates drew up arrest warrants for the new suspects. It had been exactly 2 months since the first arrests were made back on March 1st of Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba.
Written by Major Elisha Hutchinson, George Burroughs' warrant was a rarity, not written by a magistrate. The former Salem village minister, Reverend Burroughs, was now preaching in Wells, Maine, and had to be transported into Salem.
So Major Hutchinson addressed the warrant to John Partridge, who was the field marshal of New Hampshire and Maine. And according to Partridge's response to the warrant, he delivered Burroughs to Salem on May 4th.
Salem magistrates John Hathorne and Jonathan Corwin wrote the other 3 warrants for today.
The warrant for Lydia Dustin of Reading claimed that there was high suspicion of several acts of witchcraft done or committed by her upon the bodies of Mary Walcott, Ann Putnam Jr., Mercy Lewis, and Abigail Williams.
Though Reading is only about 10 miles west of Salem, this case required the magistrates to reach outside Essex County to neighboring Middlesex County. The call was answered by Reading Constable John Parker, one of at least 4 John Parkers involved in the Salem witch trials in some way. This John brought Lydia Dustin to Salem Village on May 2nd by 11 a.m. as instructed in the warrant.
Curiously, Jonathan Corwin wrote the warrant, but a second person inserted the name Lydia into a blank Corwin had left before the name Dustin. Corwin hadn't even known Lydia's name when he wrote out the warrant.
Lydia was about 79 when she was arrested for witchcraft. The warrant referred to her as a widow. Lydia's case is sad, as she will go on to die in jail on March 10th, 1693, having been acquitted but unable to pay her jail fees.
2 of her daughters and a granddaughter will also be accused during the witch panic, and they will all be released from jail on various dates in March 1693.
John Hathorne wrote a warrant for the arrests of Philip English, Sarah Morell, and Dorcas Hoar, who were accused of afflicting Mary Walcott, Mercy Lewis, Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam Jr., Elizabeth Hubbard, and Susannah Sheldon through witchcraft.
Philip English was a very wealthy merchant who had migrated from the Jersey Islands to live in Salem town with his wife Mary, who had been arrested herself on April 22nd. We've encountered Philip English's Specter in several previous episodes of Salem Witch Trials Daily.
Susannah Sheldon was particularly pernicious in pressing the case against him. Having lived on New England's northern frontier, she experienced a lot of trauma during the English War against the French and Wabanaki Confederacy.
Sarah Morell was the daughter of Peter Morell, a Salisbury-based mariner, and his wife, Mary Butler Morell. Sarah's age is not specified, but her parents were wed in 1675.
Dorcas Hoar of Beverly was the 57-year-old daughter of John and Florence Galley. She married her husband William Hoar in about 1655.
Dorcas's minister, John Hale, testified against her on September 6, 1692, but since she confessed, he pleaded 2 weeks later for her life to be extended by a month, so that she might better prepare for death and eternity.
In the records of the witch trials, testimony, including John Hale's, indicate Dorcas was suspected of theft and fortune-telling.
George Herrick, the Marshal of Essex County, took 2 of the suspects to Ingersoll's Tavern in Salem Village on Monday, May 2nd by 11 a.m., according to his instructions.
However, Philip English had fled and could not be located. He was not found until May 30th, when he was located in Boston at the home of mariner George Hollard, a friend.
John Hathorne also wrote a warrant for the arrest of Susannah Martin, a widow who lived in Amesbury. She was accused of bewitching Mary Walcott, Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam Jr., and Mercy Lewis.
Susannah was the 71-year-old daughter of Richard and Joan North, as well as the widow of George Martin, whom she had married in 1646.
Susannah has many descendants and is much beloved. She's one of the most widely recognized people who was accused of witchcraft in 1692. Sadly, she was hanged July 19th, 1692.
Orlando Bagley, an Amesbury constable, took Susannah Martin to Ingersoll's Tavern on May 2nd. Thomas Putnam wrote the officer's return on his behalf, including his signature.
And also today, Sarah Good's Specter allegedly attacked Sarah Bibber's child. According to Sarah Bibber, Good's Specter stood by her bedside, pulled the curtain aside, turned down the bed sheet, and looked at Bibber's child, who was about 4 years old. This, according to Bibber, caused the child to be struck by a great fit so that her husband, John, could barely even hold the child.
Thank you for joining us today. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and listen to The Thing About the Salem Witch Trials and The Thing About Witch Hunts podcast for more witch trial information.